Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I am so happy to see you again, and today we are working on some tiny townhomes. Now I will say this lot in and of itself is not tiny since there are two townhomes here, and I think technically each of the two townhomes may be actually considered a tiny home instead of like a micro home. I was trying to do a micro home to make it super tiny. However, that means like I couldn't put the porches on the front. I ended up putting porches on the back as well, but I still feel like it is a tiny home. Like there's not a lot of space. One of the homes doesn't have a dining space. They both do have living rooms though, and I think there's plenty of things for your Sims to do. And for this one, I was actually thinking that maybe these were students, since I am building in Brightchester, and that is the world from the university pack. And I thought maybe one of them was into art and maybe that's what they're studying at university. And I'm actually trying to remember, I think that is. Yeah, I am pretty sure that that is a major they can choose. All of a sudden I was thinking, oh no, maybe the sim can't actually even major in this. But even if they're not, then one of the townhomes is equipped with like an easel and things like that. I figured that's what they were into. And the other sim I figured maybe was going for biology or something like that, and they also are maybe a streamer, gamer kind of thing, because I haven't actually used the little Simsy gamer kit, which for the life of me, is it Cozy Gamer? I cannot remember the name of that kit, but I ended up finally using like all of the stuff in it, and it honestly is super adorable, and I was really excited to use it. But I thought it'd be really pretty just to make this like black and white and the really nice contrast of the brick here, and I think it worked out really well. I ended up using, I believe, all of the windows and doors are from Discover University, except for I think I used some base game windows in the kitchen area. I was really back and forth about it, to be honest, because I didn't, want to take up precious kitchen space with a window. However, I think it helped a lot bringing in like some light on the back of the townhome. And of course I used the medium wall height for the bottom floor, which I think helps a lot with just the proportions of the townhome. However, that also means the stairs that I put into these townhomes were very tall. And I didn't think about that until I had already finished basically the whole entire exterior, and then I was like, oh, well, I need to figure out how to fit in the stairs. And it turns out they took up more space than I was planning on them taking up, because I ended up having to kind of wrap them around and make it like 2 wide instead of 1 wide, just because I did the medium wall height there. And I guess they're technically both lofts since the stairs go directly into the bedrooms on both sides. But I think it turned out super cute. I ended up giving them both a small porch on the back and stairs down to I don't know, like a little patio. Just like a stone area, and I ended up enclosing both of them so that they have a little bit of privacy. I say enclose, I put just fencing like what I used on the front porches. So, I mean, Sims can like see into what you're doing. It's just that you can lock them so you don't have Sims coming over. So if you decide to use this as a rental lot, you don't have, Sims just kind of wandering into your space. Or if you just want to use this as, you're controlling both of the Sims and you just lock doors so that Sims stay where they're supposed to stay, then that would work really nicely too, because I know that For Rent does still have a few bugs, and I kind of wanted to leave that as an option for you. And I will say that I noticed when I was doing the backyard here that the stairs, the ones that I chose, I think they were from Get Famous, for whatever reason, clipped. You can kind of see on the right townhome right there that there's like a black strip by the back door, and I don't know why it was doing that. So I do end up swapping them for different stairs so that you don't have that. But it was a little bit frustrating. I feel like it was doing the clipping thing kind of like the stair railing does as well. So there's a little bit of that going on in this build. So apologies for that, but I don't think there's really anything I can do about it. However, if you do know a workaround as to like make sure all of the railing looks like it should and that you don't have that clipping kind of right there at the wall, then please let me know in the comments. I would very much appreciate it. However, I just haven't figured out how to make that look any better. Like in one of the townhomes, you can actually see the black spandrels of the railing on the stairs, and the other one you can't, like up against the wall. So I don't know. And it's the same stairs, the same railing. Like, I don't know what the difference is. But so apologies if that does bug you. I just couldn't figure out how to fix that in any way. I do end up shifting the back door a little bit so that you actually end up having a galley kitchen, and I think that worked out a whole lot better. So both of these townhomes have very sizable kitchens considering how small they are, and I also wanted to use the new base game counter swatches that we got. So in the last update, so the one we got yesterday, yes, that would be yesterday. No, 2 days ago. This has been a long week. This is 2 days ago, we got the base game update, getting ready for the businesses and hobbies expansion pack that'll be coming out soon. And they decided to add some swatches onto these base game counters. And I really kind of wanted to use them. And I think the textures are really nice on it. You can kind of see that wood grain going on, especially in the upper cabinet. So I wanted to use those since I usually don't use those. I don't really like most of the original swatches we had for it, but I think these do a really good job of updating them a little bit. So I wanted to utilize those. And I do also include the new alarms we got since we did just get burglars. I haven't played yet since we got the burglar update. So this is literally the first thing I've done. And on that note, if you notice that the UI over there in the bottom left-hand corner of my of my build by catalog looks really weird and like stuff's out of place and it doesn't look right, just ignore that. That is because I have not updated Better Build By yet, which is a wonderful mod if you are someone who enjoys building. It allows you to very easily turn on, move objects, get into debug and live edit really easily just by a click of a button. And it also lets you duplicate debug items, which in case you didn't know, you can't duplicate that like with the eyedropper tool. So that allows you to do it. So I haven't updated that yet, so that's just why it looks a little bit weird. But so you shouldn't have any issues with your game so long as you don't have the old version of Better Build By in your game. But I've just figured since it was working other than literally just looking a little weird, I just decided to go with it instead of taking it out because it really is such a helpful mod for me. And hopefully that gets updated soon, but it's totally usable, so I'm not going to complain. And just adding in a full-size couch here, which I thought worked out really well. This couch is from the Casanova kit we got, and I think the blue looks so pretty in here. And I'm trying to remember though, I think I end up swapping it because I had a hard time balancing the colors when I left the couch is that blue color. I think I end up swapping it over to like a tan since I end up having blue in the painting, and then I end up using a blue console table for like the entertainment area. It just felt like a little bit too much, so I do end up swapping that around. And we also are using, I cannot remember, is this the rug from the refined living room or from the new Little Simsy gamer kit? I'm trying to remember. I think this is the one from the gamer kit actually, and I hadn't used it yet, so I pulled it out. I was like, this is really cute. Like, I need to use this. I think I end up using it in both of the townhomes, and I will go ahead and tell you now, I do end up swapping that TV. Well, I swap it twice, so I end up swapping it to the other frame TV, not the season one, but the first one we got. And I did that because I didn't feel like the gold frame really matched. I felt like it just, I don't know, it looked a little out of place, but I liked the idea of having it be art since I was thinking this sim was into art. And honestly, I was really back and forth about the TV, the frame I have right now there. And ultimately, I do end up taking it out and swapping it out just for a regular wall mount TV. So in the screenshots, if you notice that it's changed, I did change it because, I don't know, it still didn't look quite right. And I figured that's okay. It looked, I think, a little bit better just having a regular TV there. And honestly, I almost forgot about the alarms. I almost forgot about a fire alarm as well. I literally had to go and get all of the things to put on the wall. And from my understanding, and I could be wrong, but I believe you have to put one of the alarms near all of the exterior doors. So I put one by the front and the back door. So in case you notice me doing that, I think that you actually have to put them by each door. And I don't think they're super expensive. I think it's something like 85 simoleons, and you can upgrade it as well, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if that's something we were able to do in the other games, to be honest, but I thought that was kind of an interesting addition that you can, if you have a handy sim, actually upgrade it. I think just the first one, you may actually have to upgrade it to actually call the police, but I'm not entirely sure. Again, I haven't used it in gameplay yet, but I did want to include it in here in case you did want to use those, because the last thing you want is, well, maybe not. The last thing I would want is a burglar showing up at my townhome and stealing my Sims stuff. And it's so funny. I ended up, when I went back and played The Sims 2, I totally forgot about burglars, that was a thing. And my Sim was really broke for a while. And I finally ended up buying like some nice chairs and couches. And that night, that very same night, a burglar showed up and stole one of my expensive chairs, and I didn't have the money to replace it. So that was very upsetting. I totally forgot. And then I ended up getting an alarm. And I think in that game as well, you have to put an alarm by the front and back doors. And I didn't know that. So at least they ended up coming in the other door, and it was totally fine, like the next night, and stole my other chair that I bought. It was very upsetting. So I kind of learned the hard way how to do that in The Sims 2, since, you know, I hadn't played that before, but I just thought it was really funny. And I thought that this sim would really enjoy having also a little dedicated workspace, and I tried to keep it a little more minimalistic for this sim. I feel like a little more clutter in the other townhome, and I really love the combination of the blue, brown, and black. Especially, honestly, I think that tile really brought things together, and I believe that was Home Chef Hustle is where those tiles came from. And honestly, I think it did just a whole lot of good for this apartment. It pulled it all together and made it make a whole lot of sense. And I tried to, for both of the townhomes, to make them, like, the layouts to be very similar, or just because I figured if you like were renting or bought a townhome, then it would be, you know, someone else built it and they would have made it kind of the same. I kind of like apartments, things like that. At least apartments I'm used to, townhomes like I'm used to, they are pretty identical. So I tried to keep most things the same. However, I did end up moving the door for the bathroom in the other townhome. So that'll be in a little bit, but I wanted to go ahead and mention it. I did kind of end up having to scoot it over to make things make sense. But I did think it would be nice for them to have a nice little art area out here and putting a little bit of clutter, which I feel like I almost idealize having that kind of like an easel outside. Like they could do the paint from reference and get really pretty paintings and everything. But then I'm thinking if it's raining or something like that, you wouldn't want your sim to be hit by lightning while they're out there trying to paint. So, I mean, you feel free, you know, if you decide to download this, which by the way, this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID, Spice and Sprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And it is already up there. This has been play tested, so your sim shouldn't have any issue using anything or getting around the apartment. I made sure, especially my builds that are smaller, I end up testing it just because I want to make sure it's going to work well. And if you feel like downloading it and you want to move the easel inside, you know, feel free to do so. You know, do whatever you need to do for your sim, however you're going to play the game. And of course, you can make this a rental unit, that kind of thing, if you feel like it. But I ended up doing a lighter color scheme with a lot of green for this build, and I think it turned out really lovely. Again, using one of the new swatches we got on those base game counters, and then pulling in that really pretty green in the appliances, I think worked out really well. And I ended up using the same tile. And I know that it's not super realistic either if I'm assuming these townhomes are kind of like made the same and this is something that you rent. You know, the appliances and the counters and the tiles would probably be the same, but I figured it's fine, it's close enough, the layout works, and it's the same tile, just a different swatch. So maybe when whoever built this designed it, they decided to kind of make them a little bit different. At least in my mind, I think it works out really nicely. And then trying to make sure I incorporate maybe a little bit of gray and white in here to make the stairs and everything make sense, since I did leave it as that black swatch, which is a little bit different than what we've got going on in this build. And I end up actually kind of putting in a plant inside of those little pots I put there on the counter. And I do end up in both of the townhomes, I end up leaving one of the counters completely empty to make sure your sim has space to cook. And I don't know why, but I just felt like this sim would have that little like waffle maker. I don't know. I just feel like they would make a lot of waffles. I don't know why, but I just thought it would be really cute for them. And this is the townhome where we actually have a dining area, which I did kind of at the last minute. So when I go and work on the living room, I thought, yeah, I'm going to make this sim a gamer and make them maybe do some streaming, things like that. But I felt like they needed a game console downstairs. And I was like, I kind of want a dining space. I end up actually putting the frame TV that I end up not using in the other townhome. I use it in here because it had that really pretty yellow and green swatch with the grass and flowers, which I honestly love that TV so much. I love the idea of having a frame TV. I've really thought about getting one, but I don't know if I really ever will, since I do know that they're a little more expensive. And you know, depending on, I guess, what you're doing, I don't think they're as good in terms of like picture quality and things like that, at least from what I can tell. So from like research, so I thought about getting one for our living room because we did get a new TV somewhat recently, and for the first time in like a decade, it was so funny when actually we went, my husband and I went to go buy this new TV. And I mean, it's a big purchase, like, you know what I mean? And we got it, and I forgot what we were talking to the cashier when we were paying for the TV, and we mentioned that this was the first TV like we've actually ever bought together, and we've been together for like 7.5 years, and I had these TVs since like a decade ago. And the cashier was so shocked that we hadn't bought a TV. So let me know, when was the last time you bought a TV? Do you buy them often? Am I odd because I don't buy TVs very often? I just thought it was interesting that the cashier was surprised that it had been a while, and I plan for it to be another long time before I have to buy another TV, since it is a pricier item depending on kind of what you buy. But anyways, that was totally random, but we ended up not doing a frame TV for that. But maybe down the road, maybe we'll end up with one, maybe in my bedroom or something like that. Since we do end up playing games and stuff downstairs, we wanted to make sure it was a TV that would be really good for that. So I don't know why I'm talking a lot about this, so I apologize. But it's something, and I did it like, it was months ago that we actually ended up getting it. And actually, talking about the build, I wanted to use the double bed, but because I decided that I really wanted that nice streaming gaming area, it didn't super make sense. So I ended up using the single bed, and this is when I decided that I needed to scoot over that door, and I think it made things work a lot better, and I was able to use all of those items from that gaming kit that we got. And it honestly looks so cute. I really do love it so much. I think that Lil Simsy and the Sims team did a really good job with it. I think all the pieces just make a whole lot of sense, and they look really cute. I mean, what can I say? I love cute little things. The lamp, the cushions, just everything ended up coming out really well, and especially having that nice green and those like yellow tones. I don't know, it worked perfectly for this build, so I was really excited about that. And I know that I don't have a nightstand next to the bed, but I really wanted the big mirror, and I end up actually putting some makeup by the mirror. I was thinking the sim, would sit there and get ready, before they streamed. At least for me, when I was streaming, I did makeup and my hair and all that kind of stuff before I went on. So I just thought it would be cute to have that little space, thinking that that's what they did. And I like thinking about those kind of things for Sims, although, your sim wouldn't actually do that. I like to think that they would. Like that's actually how they would use the space, even though that's not necessarily what they would do. And I'm honestly super in love with that dresser from high school years, because I don't think I've ever used that swatch, but it's so pretty with that greenery on the front of it, like almost like a hand painted thing. And I don't know, it just ended up coming out really nicely. And I do end up adding, I think, the knitting basket here, as well as the Freezer Bunny guitar, just to give this sim some extra stuff to work on. So maybe this sim was into music, maybe the gaming is just a hobby, maybe they are majoring in music, maybe they're not going to university at all. But those are just kind of the things that I thought about when I was doing this. And I end up using, again, all the really pretty green swatches in here, and I think it ended up working really well. And just combining all of these colors, I did struggle a little bit with how to put rugs in here because I really wanted one by the sink and by the shower, just because that's something that I do in my own home, which is why I always do it. And trying to pick ones that actually fit, it took me quite a while between color and size getting what I wanted, but I think it did work out pretty well there in the end. I will also say, so just like the TV in the other townhome, and like I said, I ended up swapping, I do end up adding a little bit to the curtains. So I end up everywhere but the bathroom in this townhome, I just have those kind of plain eco lifestyle curtains there. And I just felt like once I finished the build, finished the recording, I felt like it just needed a little something extra, just thinking about this sim and maybe how they would design their home. And I end up adding in the white curtains from the paranormal pack that have the beads on them. So you'll see those in the screenshot. So I thought I'd go ahead and warn you that I do end up adding those in. And I end up adding these little string lights around because I thought those would be so adorable. And then just adding in a little space for the sim to kind of just hang out and sit. I didn't really add any kind of skill building items out here. Of course, if you have something in mind that you want your sim to do, you can of course do that. I end up putting the like summer drink tray out here. So your sim, I envision maybe that they have their friends come over and they go sit out on the patio and drink, I think, lemonade, or I've actually never used that item. I'm pretty sure you can make lemonade with it. And then just adding in a cute little umbrella table here in the corner, which I did, again, play test this to make sure your sim could get around and get to all the little chairs and items, so you shouldn't have any of those issues there. So then adding just a little bit of clutter around here because I figured they would have a few extra plants, and we're going to finish up with a little bit of terrain paint. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.
I'll be your light. Be your light. I'll be your light. If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. Be your light. I'll be your light. If it gets too dark, yeah, I can carry all that you've got. Two heavy hearts is not a lot. I will put out all of the fire. We stumble and fall, and it's not a lie that I die. I can't hide what this is. Yeah, I keep drowning in those blue eyes, and you can tell me how